Hey everybody, it's Karen with Food and Family, and it is a dreary, rainy day here in Central Alabama, and I thought I would make some potato dumplings today, or potato soup if you want to call it that, but it's going to have some dumplings in it. So I've cooked, there's just two of us, so I've peeled about 6 medium-sized potatoes, and I'm going to take them over here to the sink and give them a good rinse. And then we're going to get this going. It doesn't take long. This is something that my grandmother used to make all the time. It's easy, and it's so simple, and it's such a comforting food. My brother Jeff loves nothing better than potato dumplings, and he had asked me if I would make some, so I'm making them for him. Here you go, Jeff. Now, I've got some oil. Well, I got my pot heating up over here, and I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil. That might have been about a teaspoon. I don't want a whole lot of oil. And I'm going to start with dicing up an onion. Now, I've got a medium-sized onion here. I don't know that I'm going to use it all, so I'm going to look. I want not finely diced, but kind of a medium to the smaller size chop on it. And we're going to get that going in this oil while we cut up our potatoes. That won't take but just a minute. And let's see, listen, see if it's hot. Ooh, can you hear that? I love that sound. Let's see, let's get those in there. And I think half of that onion is enough. We'll save this other half for something else. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put just a smidge of salt and pepper on those onions. That might have been half of a teaspoon of salt on those onions, because we're going to be adding some more as we go along. Now, I've got my potatoes washed, and I want to cut them up. I'm going to cut them up in about 2.5, maybe 3-inch cubes, because I want to know I've got potatoes in this. Because as the potatoes cook, they kind of boil away. That may be closer to 2 inches or just under. That pot's hot, so those onions are getting cooked. They're getting soft already. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put these potatoes in. But you can see how I cut them up. And I'm going to go ahead and put them in this pot. And I want to stir them around in that oil a little bit just to get them coated. Wipe my hands just to get them coated a little bit in that oil. And then we're going to cover them in some chicken broth. Now, I'm using low sodium chicken broth. When I can get it, I use no sodium at all. So let's put just a tiny bit of salt over those potatoes. Potatoes love salt. Now, if you don't go ahead and season them now, to me, you get that seasoning all the way through that potato, it's going to be more difficult to season it later. And yes, you can add salt at the table when you sit down to eat. But I think it's easier to go ahead and get that seasoning all the way through them. So I've got a 32-ounce carton of chicken broth, chicken stock, whichever you have. And I'm going to cover this But you guys just wait. When I come back, we're going to add some butter. Not right now. I'm using this whole carton. And it might take a little more once these cook down because I want to make some dumplings to go in there. And so we'll just have to see how it goes. Oh, if you could smell it already just with these onions going. So let me get these simmering and I'll be back with you in just a few minutes and we'll get everything else going in it, okay? Y'all stick around. Our potatoes have been boiling about 10 minutes. You want them fork tender, which means you don't want them mushy. You just want to be able to put your fork or knife. I'm going to use a knife and it just go in real easy and come out and it's still left in cubes because we've still got some cooking to do. So while that's still simmering, let's make the dumplings, okay? So I've got some self-rising flour. You know I like White Lily self-rising flour. Now I'm just going to do a cup. I'm just going to do a small amount of dumplings today. So I'm going to do 1 cup of flour and I'm going to use some Crisco. Solid shortening. Use lard if you want to. And I'm just going to put about that much. That may be a tablespoon and a half of shortening. And we're going to cut that in to this flour. And you just want it to cut in to where it's like pea size. Y'all know how to do this. And then we're going to, instead of where I usually, if I'm making biscuits, I would use milk or buttermilk. But today, since we're doing dumplings for our potato dumplings, I'm going to use some chicken broth. Now, I want to put just a pinch, just a little bit of salt in this flour. That might have been 1/4 teaspoon, between 1/4 and 1/2 teaspoon. Wasn't a whole lot. I'm going to give you dumplings some flavor on the inside as well as they're going to get it on the outside cooking in that. Okay, so we've got pea-size dumplings. Now I've got about 1 cup of chicken stock. Now I'm not going to use the whole cup to begin with. I'm just going to see what I need, and that's right around 1/2 cup. I want to make sure that's not tight. I don't want them too wet because we're going to drop this. We're not going to roll them out. We're going to drop these into this boiling potatoes. And actually, I think I got a little too much broth. It didn't take quite 1/2 cup. Easy remedy. Let's add just another, maybe 1.5 tablespoons of flour. You want them thick because remember, we're going to be boiling these and it won't take long. Once they start cooking, it won't take them long to cook. So let me get that stirred up. All right, now see, that looks like I would make a drop biscuit. See there? In fact, you know what? I'm not happy. I want it a little bit thicker. Let's put another tablespoon of flour in that. Oh yes, much better. Much, much better. So altogether, I've used about 1 cup and I'm going to say 1.5 cups of flour to 1/2 cup of broth. It didn't take much. Now, see, that looks much better. So we're going to drop these into this dumplings mix. And I'm going to use 2 spoons to do it with. I'm just going to get a spoonful. And see, I don't want big, huge dumplings. They're going to swell. So I'm going to use about that much on my spoon, and I'm going to use my other spoon to rake them off and drop them in there. Don't stir them. Just let them sit there, and they'll start cooking in this delicious broth. But if we see that broth is going to get absorbed too much, we'll add a little bit more. We've got extra. I pulled out another carton because I needed it to make the dumplings. I am so excited about making these, guys. I haven't had them in a while, and I've been trying to do dishes lately that are easy, one pot for you and for me. I've got to move these around a little bit because I want to drop a few more dumplings in. I'm just going to gently stir from the bottom. I don't want to break them up, and I want them to be so pretty, but I want enough dumplings in there, and it doesn't take long. Now, my potatoes, I cooked them right about 10 minutes at a medium simmer. Put the lid on to get them started. It'll start bring them to a boil quicker, but take that lid off. The potatoes are starchy, and it'll boil over, and you don't want to miss. Oh, I wish you could see down in this pot, and I know you can't. This is going to be the last dumpling. This worked out perfect. Having that 1 cup. Let's scoop something around a little bit. Oh, yes. And they're starting to firm up in there. Yes. Now, if you've ever made these, you know how good I'm talking about. And if you've made potato soup, which I'm sure a lot of you have, you know how good this is going to be. So we're just going to gently, like I said, from the bottom, like you would if you were making chicken and dumplings. You do not want to tear them up. You want them to be nice and pretty like they are. Now, I think I'm going to go ahead and add a little more broth. I want some good potato juice. Now, that's going to calm down that boiling for just a minute, but it's going to pick back up. So I'm going to let this simmer for just a few minutes. It doesn't take long. And you see how I am just barely, gently putting my spoon down in there. So I'm going to let these cook for just a few minutes. And I'm going to get them stirred around just a little bit so they can get all mixed in there. And I'm going to come back and we're going to finish them up because we've still got a couple of more good things to add to it. So hang with me, okay? I'll be right back. Okay, our dumplings have been cooking, they've been cooking about 15 minutes. I think they're ready to get finished up. So you knew this was coming. I'm going to add a big glob. I'm going to put a spoon, about a tablespoon of butter. Of course, you've got to have butter. Butter makes it better, right? So we're going to add some butter in there, but we're also going to add a little bit of half and half. Now, I'm just going to pour what I think I need. And that's probably going to be about 1/4 cup. We're going to stir that around gently, still gently. Oh, it looks so good. Okay, so while that, all we got to do is melt that butter in there and let that half and half warm up in this soup. Now, if you want, you can use whole milk if you don't have half and half, or you can use heavy cream. So while that's doing that, I have a couple of slices, 3 slices of bacon left over from breakfast this morning. So I'm going to cut that up, and we can use it on top of our soup. We can garnish with it. You Oh, it's going to be so good. We're going to add some green onions. I've got some cheese. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to. Or if you want something different, you got something different you want, do it. So let's put that in our little bowl. Get it to the side. We've got our green onion. Clean off my board just a little bit. We've got some green onions here. And I've got some shredded cheddar cheese. If you want to shred your own, that is wonderful. I've got a little bowl. I've got my ladle. And I'm ready for a bowl of this soup. Let's give it a taste. What do you say? What do you say? Let's give this a little taste. I want to get a dumpling, and I want a couple of these potatoes, and I want some of that soup. I'm going to hold this up so you can see what it looks like, since you can't see down in this pot. See how creamy? Oh, it's so luscious. Now I'm going to, let's put a little bacon. I'm going to put some green onions, and I want some cheddar cheese on top of mine. If I was making a loaded potato, that's what I would do, or loaded potato soup. So we're going to make a loaded potato dumpling soup. How about that? Now, let's taste it. That's going to be the key, right? Yeah, that is so good. You've got the potato, you've got the dumpling, you've got it all, that taste, that flavor in there. And I want some on my spoon, every bit of it. Get the perfect bite, right? Well, yeah, I hope you'll try this today. Make it tomorrow for your family. Make it this evening. I just hope you'll make it. And it is delicious. I promise you, it is delicious. It's simple. It's easy. And it's one pot. What more can you ask for? Easy cleanup. I've got very little to wash. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you'll make this potato dumpling soup, and let me know what you think about it. I certainly appreciate each and every one of you. All right, thanks for joining me again, and I look forward to seeing every one of you next time. Bye.